if one argues that central banks can never be big enough because crisis always demands the capital, you could see with Silicon Valley Bank and First Republic, to assuage the fears, the Federal Reserve reopened its discount window, which was done in 2008, so that you could discount 100% of the value of Treasury notes. And that used, actually over $100 billion of capital, of funding. And we don't have a reserve currency. We just have whatever the central bank has. The feeling is it's not prudent to hamstring the central bank by basically, rather than letting them build up their capital base by redeploying 100% of their dividends and profits, by allocating it to this. Now, I do note that at least the final version says the Monetary Board can say we need it for this emergency, so we're not sending it now. But my worry is the nature of an emergency is such that you don't know it ahead of time. That's why you build up the reserves to as big an amount as you can when you don't need it, so that when you need it, you have it. But let me give my general comments, if you wish, on what was passed, or I can continue to answer your questions.
Go ahead, Stevie, please.
Okay, so first of all, I'm on record saying I was in favor of a national development fund, not what the Congress had preliminarily passed, which was a sort of one-size-fits-all, I can do everything kind of fund. They were allowed to buy foreign bonds, invest in this, have sub-funds, which I thought was frankly unwieldy and unnecessary. So let me say, the first Senate version was an improvement on the Congress one, and the final version was a further improvement, so at least it got better as it went along. Now, would it have been written the way I would have preferred it? No, but I'm not the president and I'm not the Senate. But at least it got better. Now, what for me are the two issues which are not clear, and it might be because of the haste, and perhaps if they're implementing rules or guidelines that didn't clarify it. The purpose in the Senate bill seems to imply, without stating it, that it's for national development. So that would assume it's to be used domestically only. But if you read what the fund can invest in, it says foreign bonds, sukuks. Basically it says I can invest in practically anything. Now, if I was going to be charitable, I would suggest that means that I can invest in everything, but it's got to be for Philippine-related projects. It just could be in this manner, this form, or another. But technically, the purpose is one thing, but what I'm allowed to invest in, which is delineated in the law, seems to be much broader and more open. So in other words, it's really kind of up to the fund managers and the board to decide what to do or not. Now, maybe part of that is because upfront they're being asked to put 75 billion pesos. So let's say roughly $1.5 billion. But there aren't projects yet to invest. So there are two ways you can run a fund, a private equity type fund, which is what this is. What is commonly done commercially is you make commitments, and when the investments are approved, you call on those commitments as needed. You don't pre-fund it, you call as needed. I mean, I've invested in private equity firms and their funds, and that's the way it is. Let's say I said I'm going to put X. Let's say the fund is worth $5 billion. They'll make an initial investment of 500 million. They'll call 10%. And it's called as you invest. This one implies that at the very least, 75 billion pesos will be funded upfront, regardless of whether there's an immediate use or not. So maybe the liberty and flexibility in where to invest it is where they park it first.
Sir Stephen, I have a question on because if you are to invest, of course, you'd expect returns. And if this will be used as a national development fund, not all, as Senator Robin Padilla said, not all types of infrastructure you can profit from or can expect a return from in the short term or the medium term. How do you think foreigners will be incentivized to invest in the MIF?
Well, first, it's not even clear here how they're going to invite foreigners to invest if you read the law. I don't see it. I mean, I was only sent a copy by your office very kindly a few hours ago, but it's not very clear to me. And second, it's like they're proceeding regardless of whether they're foreign investors or not. I'm not sure that's a priority initially. Now, but second, the whole idea of, that's why there's a difference between a private equity fund that's a regular fund, a buyout fund, and a infrastructure-driven private equity fund. Because infrastructure is long gestation, like a toll road will be given a 25-year concession. A power plant will run for that time. You are expecting low returns initially and to recoup more returns as the project matures. And like say in a toll road, utilization of the road increases. So it's not like I'm saying, how will I attract people? No, you're attracting, see, for example, let's say I'm a state pension fund. I'm CalPERS, California Pension System, and I invest in many different types of private equity firms, equities, debt, and so on. There are aspects that I put in for short-term immediate return. There's other investments I put in seeking a higher return, but of medium duration. And there are other aspects where I'm expecting an even higher return, but longer duration. So it's not like I have $10 million, I'm going to put all of it here. No, it's going to say, if I was a fund and I had 10 billion to allocate, I'll put 8 billion in debt instruments. I'll put 1 billion in equities and 1 billion in private equity firms of various types like this. So you're attracting, or should be attracting, the long-term nature return of a funder. Not all the funder will say it's this or nothing.
Right.
They allocate portions. So that's how you answer it. But all should make money.
Okay, Mr. Cuunjieng, just a two-pronged question so we can have a more comprehensive answer. The first part is, kasi Senate minority, which is Senator Coco Pimentel and Risa Ontiveros, have criticized the bill, saying it could lead to more debt. Repeatedly, they've said this. That's the first question is, what do you think of this, or do you agree with this? And the second part is, does it have enough safeguards?
Well, as I mentioned to you in the previous time I mean, not you, but another sister show of yours, The Chiefs, nobody's talking about the management. And when a fund raises money, they always talk about their track record and the track record of their managers. So you can put all the safeguards you want. If the management is incompetent, they will not make money. If the management is corrupt, they will find a way around it. So at a certain point, you cannot legislate the avoidance of this. You have to basically trust the management and the appointing authorities that they will not be corrupt. Now, there are other ways to do it. One is to pay commensurate wages. Like, let's be blunt. What is one of the most effective government institutions? The BSP, the central bank. What is one of the reasons they are very effective? They're paid well, equivalent to private sector pay, and they are depoliticized, and they have career paths. The deputy governors and the managing directors, all that, they have security of tenure, they have market-based pay. And so it's a very well-run, very professional, very effective, but fully government-owned entity. So at least the Maharlika Fund says the pay will be like this, like that, will be commensurate to what is in the private sector.
Right. Good
so
point
theoretically, they could hire people of appropriate quality and expertise, because the fund allows them to be paid that way.
Tsaka baka yung 5 years dapat, yung 5 years na walang kaso ng fraud, dapat gawing 10 o 15, no? O wala talaga.
For me, 5-10 years is irrelevant because for me, it's your record. Look,
That's true.
in
Track
any
record as a
country,
fund manager.
I can be sued so what? Let's assume I was sued 6 years ago and I lost. Should you hire me anyway?
That's true, that's true.
I mean, it's more like if there is a serious case and it's dismissed because somebody was just giving me a hard time and wanted to extort me, that's one thing. But it's more like, I think it's just, why would you even consider somebody
Good
if he
points.
ran an investment scam, whether it's 1 year ago or 100 years ago?